All right, Kate Quigley is joining via Zoom telephone. We might have to edit some of this stuff out. Do 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 do. Waiting for Kate Quigley to join. Cha cha cha. We will message her. Let's pause recording for 1 second. There's two Kates. Okay. Excellent. I see one Kate. Or I don't see one Kate. Okay. Let's pause this for a second, folks. Oh shit, how did I pause?
Hello?
Oh,
Hello?
hey Kate, how are you?
Can you see me?
I cannot, but I could hear you.
All right. Well, at least you can hear me. Hey, how are you?
I'm good. I'm good. How are you?
Oh, I'm so glad I figured that out. I'm great. Is the sound okay? I have one earbud in.
That sounds fine. Yeah. How's the
It's
hotel?
it's amazing. I should give a shout out because this hotel, well, I don't want to say like too many good things. I don't want everyone to start coming here, but there's this hotel. It's called the Marina Del Rey Hotel, and it's
Oh,
really close to where my boat is parked that I live on. It's a whole other story. But they let me come here all the time and like I hang out all day and like work at the bar and like, I might buy a drink or the staff here is so cool, but it's right on the water. It's like the view is like all boats and they have an amazing swimming pool and I'm so in love with this place. So when my boat gets a little noisy or hot, I come over here and I just like chill out. So it's like
oh,
my home away from home.
yeah. Now, when you say
Yeah.
you work at the hotel, like, do you do comedy there? Like, do you do
Oh no, I
comedy
no.
night?
No, no, I just mean like in the daytime, like I'll come over here and like, answer emails or write or like
Oh yeah, like
I guess I
actual
shouldn't call
work.
it work. It's
Yeah,
not
yeah.
really working. Yeah. I'm not
Uh,
being paid.
no, definitely. Yeah.
I'm
Okay.
attempting to do something productive. So, but I'm
Yeah.
just chilling here. I'm hoping my puppy behaves through this whole thing because she's sleeping next to me right now, so we should be okay.
Oh, excellent. Cool. Yeah, what an interesting life you have. You have a boat and a puppy and a hotel. Like you're like,
It's all new, Keith. It's all new.
I
Like,
know. I want this
yeah,
life.
you know what? Living on a boat, it's changed me so much. I mean, I always was like obsessed with camping. My dream has always been like, I think I said this the first time I did Joey Diaz podcast, like 8 years ago or something. I said, my dream is to live in a van and just like camp everywhere. And that was way before a van life was like cool.
Yeah.
And I remember Joey being like, "You're crazy. Like, you're going to get raped. You're going to get murdered. Like, that's not how girls are supposed to live." And then fast forward all these years later, after everything I've been through in my life, and then I end up not living in a van, but a boat is pretty much like a floating van.
Well,
So,
it's
yeah,
interesting he gave you that advice because every horror movie I've ever seen, it's always the guys who get raped and murdered.
really, I want
Yeah.
to watch those.
Like the ladies always survive. You know? So
That's so funny. Yeah. Okay. Well, I like that. I like that theory, Keith. And I'm surviving and it's cool, man. I've been on my boat for like a year and a half, maybe a little longer. And like it took some getting used to, but it's just been a real learning experience on like what you really don't need. It's like those TV shows where they like go into hoarders' houses and they just get rid of everything. Like it forced me to get rid of Honestly, almost everything I own, I either gave away, I sent some things back to my parents' house in Ohio, and they're like storing it for me. But I've pretty much lived out of like like a big suitcase for like a year and a half. Like, it's funny, the people here at this hotel, they see me just rotate like the same five t-shirts
Yeah.
over and over and over. Like it's getting a little embarrassing actually. I do need to like throw my clothes out and buy something new just to change it up. But
Right.
there's just not a lot of space. I my boat's like 26 feet, so it's kind of like an RV, like a smaller, like a like a medium sized RV, I guess. And
Didn't
it
you
has
have
a
an
small.
RV once too?
I was shopping for an RV when I
Oh,
bought the boat. Like all my plans were to buy an RV. I seriously was like seeing RVs and driving RVs, and then I bought a boat instead, which is totally not the plan. But I
right.
just realized that I could get more boat for the money. And then also, like, I feel like boats have better resale than an RV. Like they don't, like my boat is pretty much in as great a shape as when I got it. So, and like I haven't driven it as much as I thought I would. So it's really like, hopefully it'll sell for almost as much. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. Definitely. I think
Who
boats are
knows?
cool. My grandfather had a boat, and I used to stay the weekends with him on his boat, and we would watch
No way.
movies. Yeah.
What kind of
S-
boat was it? A sailboat or a power boat, like a
Uh,
motorboat?
it was a motorboat. I mean, it had sails on it, but he never sailed it. He just drove it on the motor.
So it was a
But
sailboat.
yeah, yeah. But
He just didn't sail it. Well,
no,
that's pretty
yeah.
normal for most sailors around here. Like I can't tell you how many sailboats are sitting here in Marina Del Rey is the biggest marina. I don't know if it's the world. I know it's in the US. It's the largest marina that's not like a shipping port, but
Yeah.
I think it's 10,000 boats or something like that.
Holy Lord.
Oh, it's insane. It's seriously like there's not only 10,000 boats, but like there's a bunch of marinas within Marina Del Rey. It's almost like different neighborhoods. There's like kind of like the hood marina, and then there's like the expensive marina. There's like the yachts. Like it's all, it's really funny. Like you can live in Marina Del Rey on a boat and be in kind of like the ghetto part where it's not that safe, which is so hilarious to me because that's all really, there's no ghetto really, but
Now
that's what people think.
now
But
do you,
most of the sailboats
maybe
here never move.
I was gonna say
Oh, what's that?
maybe you can't answer this question for privacy concerns or whatever, but like, did you name your boat?
Actually, I didn't name it. Everybody has given me so much shit about it, but I didn't name it. And it's like, this is going to sound so stupid, but it's just because I hate getting attached to things like material things. And
Yeah.
I just thought if I give the boat a name, it becomes like more important. And everybody's like, that's dumb. Like, you have to name it. I'm like, I don't care enough. Like, I would name it if I bought a boat that was going to be, and I might, if I bought a bigger boat that was going to be like my home, like forever home. Like I have friends out here that they've bought like big boats that they like renovated, and they're not houseboats because you can't have a houseboat here, but
Right.
they're the size of a houseboat. And like, then I would name it if I was going to keep it forever. But no, I don't want to get too attached to this thing because my plan is to sell it soon and get something else, whether it's another boat or buy like some land back in Ohio, like near my family. I haven't really decided yet, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Well,
So no, I didn't name it.
you gotta do whatever you gotta do to take care of me. You know what I mean?
Honestly, I felt so bad. So Keith and I, for the people listening, I have promised to do this podcast so many times. And first, like, honestly, I just felt stupid doing a podcast when I had nothing to promote. And, I took like a whole year off comedy and
Yeah.
I needed it. I was really close to having like a complete mental breakdown. And I know you as someone who's like really open about mental health issues and stuff, like, can understand and relate. But as a comic, it's like when you go away for that long, it starts to feel like really scary. Like you're not going to have a career when you come back. No one's going to remember you, or people will just think you're a loser and you can't get work. And so I was just like, I didn't want to do a podcast. I felt like I had nothing to talk about. It's like, what are you doing this week? Well, I'm still on my boat
Yeah.
fishing and doing nothing.
Well,
I don't
some
know.
sometimes like it's just healthy to talk too. You know what I mean? And I feel like podcasts aren't really necessarily about promoting stuff. It's just about, you know what I mean? Just like
Yours,
kicking the
yours is great.
shit.
I actually, your podcast, and the reason I wanted to do yours, and like, you're one of my favorite because one, you're just my friend, and it really is just like shooting the shit with you. Especially great because we don't really talk much in between, so
Yeah.
it's great. Like I feel like we get to really catch up, but also I don't feel like it has to. I'm not trying to be funny on yours. Like there's some people you really, they want it to be like really funny. I won't name any names, but you feel like you're constantly
Joey
trying to like throw
Diaz.
bits in. No, I'm not saying Joey. No, Joey. No, Joey actually. No, Joey carries it. Joey's podcast, I feel like you're just there for as like a sidekick for him to bounce things off of. Like you don't even have to talk really. And then
Yeah.
there's other ones like I do Dom Herrera's podcast quite a bit, and Dom barely talks at all. Like sometimes I'll stop talking to let him in because I feel like I'm talking the whole time, and then he says nothing, and I just wait, and it's like awkward, and then I keep going. He'll start a joke, he'll do like a setup for a bit, but he starts it and then he pauses for so long, and then I'm like, am I supposed to say something now? And I step on his jokes. I feel like Dom is my favorite comic that I'm so close to, that like he loves when we podcast. I think we have no chemistry podcasting. Like I always feel like I ruined his whole show.
Well, sometimes those make the best podcasts is when you don't have chemistry with someone because,
Could be.
for example, if we didn't have chemistry, my fans would be like, "Oh my god, you didn't, Kate Quigley, holy lord, you should interview her again to see if she eventually ends up liking you." And then
Oh no.
your fans who listen to this will be like, "Oh, that Keith guy's an autistic creep," and all that stuff. So like
No way.
so it would be like, you know what I mean?
A great podcast. Should we try? Should we just try to make this really awkward now for the next half hour?
Nah,
No, I'm just kidding.
I mean, we could try. I'm pretty sure it's going to get awkward at some point.
Nah, I never feel awkward with you, Keith. You're the man. You know I love you.
Oh, well, thank you. I love you too.
You're the man. The man.
I it's so funny because I always call you when I have like issues with people, and and
Right.
uh, and you're like,
And I
yeah,
always agree. I'm like, yeah, they suck.
yeah, but like
Yeah.
I don't know why these people suck. You know what I mean? Like I don't know what I've done to any of these people. You know what I mean?
Well,
So
for one thing, I think you often, and it's part of being autistic. My nephew's the same way, is, you often think it's you, but it's probably not
yeah,
ever or very rarely. Like they might not even have an issue. They're just comics. That's the one thing, stepping away from comedy for a year. I hate to say this because I am one, but like, I really don't like a lot of comics.
oh
It turns
no,
out, spending time with regular people, I'm like, God, comics are annoying. Like, they're so needy and narcissistic and just like, oh, it's just, and like, I don't feel like I ever have like a genuine, authentic conversation. It's always like, where your last show was, or how's this club? Or I get it. All talk about work, but it's just like so nice to go a year where nobody asked me about like the Chuckle Hut in Missouri or whatever. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
I don't really, I don't know why comics are so weird. I mean, we have a very strange job for sure.
Well, I think that like you and I we have two different paths. Like for example, you were a headliner, you were headlining everywhere, and I was just a feature, and then everyone I featured for died, and then you had a terrible experience. So
I'm sorry to laugh, but you're
no,
right.
no, you know what I mean? But you had a terrible
Yeah.
experience, and then I had a terrible experience, but you stopped doing comedy while you were trying to, regroup your life.
Cope. Yeah.
I kept on doing comedy,
Yeah.
and I feel like that might have been a mistake on my part.
I don't think so. To be honest with you, the real reason I had to stop, and part of the reason I feel like I ended up, I mean, I really was having like a total spin out. Like I got so paranoid, Keith, I would not leave my house. Like there was like almost a whole year when I would only leave my house to go to work. I would have to drink so much to even be around comics because I was so in my head about if they were, I didn't know if they thought I killed people, if they thought it was my fault, or if they hated me because their friend died at my house, or I heard things people were saying. Comedy's like high school. It's like a big rumor mill. And like for me though, I wish I could have used the stage to like cope, but I had, and this has never happened to me. I mean, you know me and my comedy. I talk about my life so personally, and that's part of who I am. And I love being real and authentic. But the problem was every time I'd open my mouth and say anything on stage or off, I'd have cops and warrants. And, I was really heavily investigated for over a year after that happened. And no charges were ever pressed because it wasn't my stuff. And I like told them that and I proved it and everything. But like over a year, I couldn't talk about it in any way. And like, it was just, and then I had a really public breakup, which I've never had before. Like my boyfriend was Hootie. So like I couldn't really talk about that on stage either without hearing from him and his lawyers. And it was just like a nightmare. I felt like my lips were sewn shut. And the only way I know how to deal is to go on stage and talk. And so like I just started to be like, I don't know what the fuck to do. And I would just walk in little circles in my apartment and be like, hope the cops don't show up again. I hope the paparazzi's not outside. I hope like Mark Saratella doesn't text me and tell me I'm a murderer. Like it was just every day sucked. And I finally was like, I can't do this. So I just literally left everything here in a storage unit. And I threw like my tent in my car and I drove across country and just like camped and hung out at truck stops and like talked to just regular people. And then I spent time in Ohio. Like I seriously had no idea how to handle it without comedy. So
Right.
it was like really weird learning. But honestly, now it's been like a hard road back to comedy. And I don't know how much I'm going to do anymore because I kind of now I'm like, I've gotten so used to being private. I've almost developed like a fear of talking out loud again because I don't want, and like I'm still traumatized from dealing with all that. I was in like self defense mode completely for like 2 years. So
Yeah.
anyway, that's a long answer, but I don't think you did the wrong thing. I just didn't really have a choice. That's the only reason I had to walk away because it was like, I didn't have a drug problem when that happened to me, but I was afraid I was going to develop one because I was like going insane and I was so depressed and alone. And so I just left to get away from it all. And it helped. And now I'm like so much happier. And I got my little dog. It's just, I've only had her 4 months. She has been like, not only a total lifesaver, but like a whole new wealth of material. I've never had a puppy, but holy shit. Like
Yeah.
it's changed my whole perspective on life. There's so much fucking work. Like right now, she's literally, oh, come here. Right now, she's literally like chewing on dead bird feathers that she just found under the couch.
Oh my God. Now,
Peanut,
now,
no.
have you named your dog?
Her name is Peanut.
Oh, okay, cool. I was gonna
She's
say
Peanut.
because
Yeah.
if you want to resell it or whatever, you can't name it.
No, I named the boat. I didn't name the boat, but I did name the dog. And
Hey,
she didn't. She's had a few names because she had four owners. Believe it or not, before she's
oh
had
my
four
God.
owners, and she's only 8 months old, so she's been through it too. That's why she's my little buddy. We've both been traumatized. It's great.
Yeah. No, I mean, what you said about the name thing makes so much sense because I'm a guy, so this might be inappropriate for a second.
You're a guy.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but like when I was growing up, everyone's like, "Oh, Keith, you should name your penis."
I knew you were gonna say that.
Yeah, and I was like, I don't know one dude who's named their penis. You know what I mean? Like
You
it's like
don't?
no. Like, what am I gonna say?
I
Oh,
thought
yeah,
like all guys did.
no.
It's
I think
like like all
I
guys
think
at
that
some point.
that's a
No,
why that's a wise
wives'
tale.
tale.
Yeah, I've never heard one guy say, "Oh yeah, I couldn't talk to you because I was too busy beating Tom," and you're like, "Who's Tom?" You know what I mean? Like I don't
Beating Tom. I don't think that
like it makes no
you're like
sense.
that's a good bit. You should work that into your act if you haven't yet. That's funny.
Oh, well, thank
And
you.
if that's true, I just thought every guy at some point in time did. Well, but I guess no, well, like I've heard guys call it like, little Keith or whatever, but then that's not gay
Hey,
because you
you
don't ever
said
want to
you
call
weren't
it
gonna
little.
say that. Come on. I'm very self-conscious about it, Kate. Jesus.
Keith, do you think it's okay to let my dog chew on a bird feather that she found under the couch at a
Uh,
hotel? Is
I
that safe for the
I
people listening? DM me. I don't know.
I don't know. I do know dogs like to kill things though. Like it's in their nature. Like my dog Boomer, he runs
Yeah.
outside and he tries and kills every possum he could see. And he likes to bring in
Oh,
the possum and say, "Look what I got."
what kind of dog is Boomer?
He's a beagle.
Oh yeah, they're like hunting dogs, I think. Hunting
Yeah.
dogs.
I wish I
My
would have
dog's a
known that before I
Chihuahua.
got beat with. Yeah.
Mine's a Chihuahua Jack Russell mix. So it's funny because she looks like a Chihuahua. She doesn't have any of that. Not no hate on Chihuahuas. I've met some cool ones, but some Chihuahuas are real like yippy and they bite and they growl. Like mine is the total opposite. She looks like a Chihuahua, but she plays like a Jack Russell. Like she loves to catch balls and frisbees and like she loves to jump. I'm not sure about water yet. You know what's hilarious? The only time she's been in the ocean, I fell in. I was stepping onto my boat, and it's happened one time in 2 years. I'm always so like careful. And the one day I wasn't paying attention, I stepped on my boat and my foot slipped, and I was holding her, and we fell in.
Oh
And
my
it was
god.
like, thank God I didn't get hurt because there's only about 2 feet of space between the boat, not even 2 feet, really, like 18 inches between the boat and the dock. And the dock is like cement around the edge. And so I fell in and I came up, and when I was holding her and a bag of dog treats. And when I came up, it was so funny because I panicked. I'm like, Tina. And I look over and she's swimming straight for the bag of dog treats. Like, she's like, fuck, mom. I got to save my dog treats. She went swimming straight for the treats. So I got her out and I got the treats out. But it was hard getting myself out because,
Yeah.
my boat, it's like I didn't have the ladder down. The boat's like pretty high above water. So getting out was not easy, man. And then I peeled myself out, and I don't know if you've been to Marina Del Rey, but this is one of the dirtiest. I said it's the largest marina. You can imagine how filthy. The water here is nasty.
Oh
So
yeah, I
like,
could imagine.
oh my God, I got out. Poor Peanut looked like a wet rat. She was just like laying down looking at me like so mad. And I've never rushed faster to a shower in my life. I spent like an hour in the shower, like scrubbing. I was so sure we were both going to die from being in the marina water, but we
You know,
survived it.
you know what's weird is it's interesting you said that because lately I've been having like random dreams and I've been like writing because like what I do in my dreams is like I have a dream and I'm like, holy Lord, how can I make this dream funny? But I'm actually very terrified of drowning. And I've been having a lot of dreams about drowning.
Really?
Yeah. Like
I mean, I
very
think most people are terrified of drowning. I don't know many people that think drowning sounds like a fun way to go.
no, yeah. I
Do you
think
have an
drowning's
extra phobia? Do you swim?
uh no, not really, but I know how to swim. Like
Like
I'm
you're
not
not like
scared
a
of
like.
swimming.
Do you
Yeah.
like swimming? Like, do you like if you see a pool, do you want to go in it?
I mean, if I have to go to the bathroom, yeah, but
like,
no,
like if I see a pool, I want to jump in it so bad all the
yeah,
time.
yeah, no, not really. But
Okay,
I know how to swim, like, so I'm not scared of like swimming and drowning. I'm scared of just drowning. You know what I
just
mean?
drowning. I
Yeah,
mean, yeah, I think drowning would be in my top three worst ways to go. Drowning buried. Like I have this like weird fear when I'm in a tunnel too long. Like you could not pay me to go spelunking. Like no, I'm
yeah,
not going in a cave. I've been to there's this national park called Mammoth Caves in Kentucky, and I've been there. And it's funny because like it is really cool. I totally get why you'd be into it. Some of the caves are so big you don't even feel like you're underground. But I
yeah,
also just saw this article, forget what it was in, like Outside Magazine or something, and it was like the 10 it was like the top 10 places in America that people are disappointed by. And like number one on the list was Mammoth Caves. People are like, I didn't realize I'd be terrified of dying once I got that. Like it's so scary going
yeah,
in a cave. I'm sure tunnels, when I drive up through those tunnels under the mountains, I'm always sure they're going to collapse. So that would be
yeah.
probably
That would
two of
suck.
them.
Yeah,
Yeah. I mean,
like
I've always wanted to go by plane crash or shark attack.
what?
Plane crash or shark attack? Plane crash, I assume, if I'm like married or, not with our job, we fly a lot. I always think a plane crash is a quick way to go. Like you'll be scared for like 30 seconds, but you won't feel any pain. You might have
Right.
time to send a quick text to someone, say goodbye. And
Yeah.
a shark attack is just cool. Like,
Yeah. I
you
mean,
know,
I could yeah, I would pick like an alligator or something, like something that were yeah.
alligator,
If
that's
I'm
cool too.
if I have to be eaten by a creature that swims, I would say alligator because I feel an alligator like their teeth will kill me faster. You know what I mean?
I don't know about that.
I feel
No, I
like a
don't think
shark
so.
will bite me and be like, "Yeah, you got blood," and just watch me drown to death.
They will not, once they taste the blood, I think they keep going.
I don't
I
I don't
I
think
don't know,
so.
man.
I
But
think
here's
they
the
don't like
problem
the
with your alligator theory means you're probably going to die in Florida.
oh yeah, that's true. Yeah. Or
I don't
the
know about, or like a swamp. Like, the places, like if you get eaten by a shark, it means you're probably on vacation. You're at
yeah.
the beach, you're having time of your life, you suddenly die. It's like way better than you're in a swamp in Florida
Yeah.
and then you have to die like being eaten by bugs.
And the plane crash thing kind of scares me. Like
I love that idea.
oh my god. There's this comic named Keith Carey who's one of the worst comics in the world, but he has a great joke. Like
Okay.
this is actually one of the best jokes I've ever heard. And he has this joke how like 9/11, like it was all this planning and stuff, but Spirit Airlines was made in like 1982. So
Yeah.
when Bin Laden was planning the tower attacks, he did everything
Couldn't
he
use
could.
spirit.
He didn't want to do Spirit. And I thought that that was the best, one of the best jokes I've ever heard. So like when
That's
I,
actually so funny. He didn't even want to fly spirit.
yeah. So I
That's
mean,
funny.
Keith Carey hates me, but if he listens to this, hey, you have one
I
good
can't
joke.
imagine why. I don't
Well,
know him, so I'm not saying it one way or another, but that is funny. That is a
well,
funny joke.
it's just I don't like bully humor, and
I don't
that's
either. I don't either.
so
I'm not
like
a roast battle fan at all. In fact, I can't stand the whole concept. I don't mind roasting like celebrity roast where the whole country knows who they are. But
yeah
I have never been a fan of like two strangers getting on stage because essentially that's what roast battle is. Like comics don't. Every time someone asked me if they could roast me, they'd never met me before. I would get these girls that would message me or a couple guys and be like, "Hey, I really want to do roast battle with you. I really want to roast you." And I'm like, "But I don't know who you are." It's like to me, it's like you've never met me. So what are you gonna roast? You're just gonna go on like what you see on stage. Like this is before people knew who I was really. I was just like an open micer, but I don't like to get on stage and just talk shit about someone. That's no fun to me. I
yeah
don't think so. I like the only person I like to talk shit about is myself and my exes. That's
yeah.
it.
Well, thank
I,
God
I have
I'm
no
not an
problem.
ex.
Lucky you.
Yeah, I
Nah,
mean,
Keith, I don't think, but I don't talk shit about all my exes, just the ones that were bastards. Like plenty guys that dated a little, we hooked up a few times, and we're still totally friends. Like no one would ever even know it. You know what I mean?
right. I mean, yeah, man. I mean, the I the only two
It's
girlfriends I've
so
ever
funny, Keith.
the only two girlfriends I've ever had were both crazy. So like, I feel like
Uh-oh, the
I
C word.
yeah, I feel like when ladies show like and that's another thing with my Asperger's is like I can't tell when a lady's interested or whatever. So like and
Right.
the older I get, it's actually very harder to tell. So like I think I just like you know what I mean? I don't really
You know what? You should just ask them. You
uh
know Josh Meyerowitz, of course,
yeah,
because
yeah.
well, not of course, like all the people on the spectrum know each other, but Josh Meyerowitz is an autistic comic. He goes by the handle Autistic Thunder. But
Right.
I have the best story about Josh. Like when we were younger, like when I was first starting in comedy, I made friends with Josh because he's so likable. And I would say he's much, much more if you're at, I don't know, I feel like I don't know how to rate autism, but I would say he's probably more, or at least like more well, let me just tell you a story. So
He's more hypery, right?
well, he's just much more worried about like offending. He's always like, "Did I offend
Oh
you? I
no,
hope I didn't
oh
offend
no,
you too
yeah,
long.
yeah.
I hope I, didn't-"
So
you
that's what
know,
I mean by hypery.
yeah."
See
So
me,
like,
I don't really care if I offend you. You know what I mean?
right? Oh, clearly Keith
Yeah,
Terry knows that.
yeah.
But anyway, so Josh and I one time we were doing an open mic at some coffee shop across the street from this comic book store. Remember Meltdown Comics? I don't know if you remember that place.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
we afterwards he asked me if I wanted to go to the comic book store and just like walk around. I'm like, sure, that sounds fun. Let's go. So we're walking in the comic book store. I will never forget this. And he knows I told this story. He turns to me and he goes, Kate, I have a question for you. And I don't want to offend you. So I don't have to ask. And I was like, no, you can ask me anything. What is it? He goes, would it be okay if we had sex sometime? Just like that. And I was like, oh, Josh. And by the way, he was a virgin at the time. Since then,
Right.
he's had sex. But I was like, well, Josh, I mean, we're friends, so it might make it kind of weird. Like sometimes when people have sex, it kind of makes the friendship weird. And he was
Right.
like, okay, no problem. He's like, I hope I didn't offend you. I'm like, no. And then like 2 aisles later, he's like, what about just touching boobs?
Whoa, holy
I
Lord.
swear. But here's the point. It was so innocent the way he asked it. And then the way he handled the answer, he was so cool. But I was like, man, what freedom to be like on that level of the spectrum where you're just like, have no fear of just, I mean, I wish all guys just laid it out there like that. Hey, I'd
Uh,
like to have sex with you. You know how simple that would be?
oh, dude, it's not that simple though, because I lay it out like that too. And then
You do?
oh, all the time. And then like when a lady rejects me or whatever, I just say, all right, can you text someone in your phone book, see if they want to have sex or something?
You do not.
No, I don't know. But like, you
But
know what
if
I
you
mean?
see, but it's all about the way you asked it because the way he asked it, I'm telling you, it was like he genuinely was just like, well, it's bad to ask this question. And then but it was like a learning experience for him. He was like, well, is it bad that I asked that? I'm like, no, actually, I think it's fine you asked it. But some women might not appreciate the question. But personally, I think it's great to set the line. You know what I mean? Like, it was
So
so funny.
so here's the thing about sex is like sex to me, uh, because even though I've had two girlfriends, I've had a lot of sex, Kate. But
Okay.
but like to
Okay.
me, I don't get emotionally attached through sex. I get
Well,
emotionally
that's a
attached,
guy thing.
but I get emotionally attached through kissing. Like if someone kisses me, like
Interesting.
I'm really fucked up in the head. You know what I mean? Because it's like I feel kissing is too intimate. Does that mean even though people would say
It's
sex?
normal. No, I agree.
Yeah.
Most
So,
people would say that. Like same for girls. Like the kissing is definitely more it gets you more emotionally involved in stuff. Sex
okay.
is like, well, if you think about it, like you spend a lot more time doing the kissing and stuff. Usually the sex doesn't last so long. I mean, at the beginning maybe, but eventually sex just like turns into like a few minutes.
Yeah.
But the
Yeah.
kissing is also like the kissing part of the relationship is when you're still like getting to know the person, like falling for the person. So yeah, that makes total sense. You're normal. That's
Oh,
normal.
okay, cool. And
You're normal.
I just gotta say for any ladies listening, sex with Keith is the best 30 seconds ever. Anyways.
Oh, I bet. Oh, no name for the little Reza though.
Yeah. Uh hey, so like I was writing a joke when you called or
Okay, let's
when
hear
you
it. You
zoomed
want to tell
me.
it to me?
Yeah, yeah. I want to see if you think this has
I
potential
love it. All right, let's go.
because I don't know if you could see me, but it's actually right here on my paper.
I
You
can't. I actually put. It's so hot where I'm sitting. I had to put my phone in the shade so it doesn't overheat. So I'm just
uh
listening.
that's a nice way to say Keith Reza's ugly. Got it. Okay.
Not at all. No, not at all. It's just that it's not so it's I'm sitting outside, so it's not too noisy, and so my phone has to be in the shade. It's really hot here.
All right. So, Kay, I'm thinking about getting a face tattoo. Because if I had a face tattoo, people would think, hey, there's the guy who killed somebody, or there's the next Post Malone.
I think it let me think about this. I like it.
Yeah.
Somewhere else something else. I like it though. And I do think you should get a face tattoo.
No, I
Yeah,
definitely will not get a face tattoo.
it would give you street cred.
Oh my God.
There's the next Post Malone. I think it should be yeah, there's that guy who you know what though? A face tattoo doesn't always mean you killed somebody. You need to say a teardrop. No, but Post Malone has a lot. I don't know. I don't know
Yeah.
what it means. The
Post
next post,
Malone is actually very talented. I was listening to his
he
music. I was
is.
like, holy Lord, just made bad
Yeah.
decisions on his
Maybe you
face.
should say he's the he must be the Post Malone of autism, or like the
Yeah.
Post Malone of comedy.
That's what I
I don't
want.
know.
I want a face tattoo on my forehead that says I'm autistic. That
Now that's
will,
maybe the joke is if you have one, you don't have to tell people.
yeah, that's true. That's actually kind of funny, but kind of true because then I don't have to like prove it. I hate it when people say,
Right.
because people all
Are
the
you
time say,
really?
yeah, they always say that. And it's like,
I hate
because,
that shit.
but here's the thing is like, I was very nonverbal growing up, and then stand up comedy made me very verbal. Like, I still have a speech stutter too,
Oh,
but I've gone to speech
I
therapy. Like,
never hear it.
oh, well,
I've
you know,
never noticed you have a stutter ever.
I do sometimes, yeah. But I mean,
I mean, everybody stutters sometimes, but I've never noticed you do it more than anybody else.
uh, but what I'm saying is I went through a lot of like hard work, you know what I mean? I worked really hard
Oh,
to talk like this. And
I get it. Well, trust me, I get it.
I think a lot of people, and that I think that that's one of the most insults to people on the spectrum when you say, "Hey, you're faking something for something." Like I have nothing to gain to
Can I
fake
tell you
anything.
something?
Yeah.
I like totally know how you feel because it's not the same, but a lot of people don't know this. But when the whole overdose thing happened, where I almost died and
Right.
everything, and for the people who don't know, I had an overdose where I almost died. I haven't done coke since then, but I thought I was doing coke. I wasn't. But anyway, a lot of people don't know this. But when I woke up, because I was passed out for like I think it was like 13 or 14 hours, something like that,
Hmm.
and I was passed out in a really bad position. So what happened was I ended up rupturing a disc and herniating two discs in my lower spine, and I had like what's called rhabdomyolysis in my legs, which is when like your muscles basically think your body's dead because I was so close to dying. So your muscles start to like decompensate really quickly and or decompose, I should say. So anyway, the point is when I woke up, I couldn't walk. I couldn't feel my legs at all. I seriously thought when I woke up that I broke my back. I thought I was going to be paralyzed. And it was so weird, Keith, because I won't talk about it too much because it makes me really uncomfortable. But like, it was like I woke up, you know, that feeling like when your legs fall asleep, like if you sit too long on the toilet or in a weird
And
position, like
you
your
can't
legs fall
walk.
asleep.
Yeah.
Well, like it was like that, except I kept like punching my legs and like I waited like 5 minutes, 10 minutes thinking I'll start feeling them again. And I couldn't. And that's when I started to really panic. Like when I first woke up, I thought nothing was really that. I just thought I was confused. So we didn't really party that hard at all. I just thought maybe I got roofied or maybe I was like, did I take like a Benadryl or like mix something by accident? Like I seriously was so confused. But then point is, it took me like I was in the hospital 8 days before I could even start walking with a walker. And
R-
then it was like a really long road to, I mean, oh, I fell down the stairs a couple of times. So I would take a step and suddenly like the feeling would go out my leg and it would just collapse. So I like ended up breaking a foot after it happened because I couldn't feel it. I fell down the stairs. It was really bad. And then the reason I said I could relate to you is because um, the DEA, they were investigating me. They thought I was a Mexican drug cartel, which is even better, but that's a whole other story. But they were
Right.
investigating me. They came to my place and they showed me photos. You know how the cops are allowed to lie to you. And they showed me photos of me that like some paparazzi took when I was going to a barber shop like a few weeks after this happened. And I had a cane. And the guy literally said to me, "We know that you're lying about not being able to walk." Because part of the reason I didn't, when I woke up, I didn't right away call 911 is because my phone wasn't right there and I couldn't move my legs. Like I couldn't walk. So I'd like army crawl to the other room. And they were like, "We know you could walk. We know you're lying." Dude, I have never in my life gone off on someone like I went off on this DEA guy because learning to walk again was like the hardest thing I've ever done in my life.
Oh
Like
yeah.
it was so hard. And for this motherfucker to show me a paparazzi photo of like my first time out of the house, like stumbling into a barber shop. And I was going in there to shave the back of my head because I had such a bad dreadlock in my hair from being hospitalized so long that they had to just shave the underneath off, which is kind of sexy, by the way. But
Yeah.
anyway, so like for this asshole to tell me I was lying, dude, I went from like 0 to 100 on this motherfucker. Like I went off on the DEA. I like slammed it. I was like, fuck you. Don't ever fucking come talk to me again. I'm done. Call my lawyer. Get the fuck out of my face. I slammed the door in the face of this guy. Like it was crazy. But it's all because he said I was lying
Right.
about something I worked so hard to fix. So I totally know how you feel, dude. Sorry, that was a long way to get there, but that shit still pisses me off. I hate that guy. I will always hate that guy.
And
I hadn't,
the worst part
yeah.
about that story is you didn't sign his picture.
You really are one of the funniest motherfuckers on the planet.
Oh, I think
You have a joke for everything. Like
I just
that was the other thing. I'm like, dude, where did you get this TMZ? Like, you're a fucking federal agent and you're showing up in my house with paparazzi photos as evidence.
yeah.
Like, what kind of investigate? That's when I knew I didn't need to hire a lawyer. By the
Yeah.
way, like the minute that day happened, and he was like, "Your doctors told us everything." I'm like, "Well, that's against the law, so I know that's a lie." So, like, how stupid does this guy think I am?
Yeah, see,
So
like
whatever.
I would have said, "Holy Lord, the doctor told you I had crabs," and that would have turned him off immediately. He would have been like, "Wait, what?" Yeah.
I mean, it was wild, dude. But what's funny is when he came, they eventually did serve me with warrants, and they wanted to search my car, and they like faked a car accident. They like called me on my intercom at my old apartment. Were like, "You need to come outside because it was a girl." She's like, "Hey, I'm sorry to bother you, but I hit your car." It's too bad I was napping, or I would have been thinking more clearly because there's no correlation between parking spots and apartments. So like, there's no way she would have known to call my apartment. But I had just woken up from a nap, and I'm like, "You hit my car?" She's like, "Yeah." And I was like, "Well, how bad is it?" She's like, "It's not that bad, but you should come get pictures. I'll give you my insurance." And I was like, "Keith," I go, "Well, I'm really tired. Can you just leave a note with your name and phone number, and I'll just call you later?" I go, "I got a show tonight. I got to go back to sleep."
Yeah.
She was like, "Oh, I don't think that's a good idea. I mean, it's pretty damaged." That's how the feds got me outside to serve my warrant, because
Oh,
and which I found out later is completely illegal. They're not
yeah.
allowed to lie to you to serve you a warrant or trick you out. So anyway, I come out and the guy gives me a warrant to search my car, and my car is a convertible, and I had the top down. It's parked outside, unlocked. Like he could have searched the whole thing without
Without a warrant.
like.
Yeah.
And what kind of like drug dealer is gonna like leave all their drugs in the car with the thing like open, top down? So I went outside, but what was great is it's one Fed and like a bunch of LAPD. And I have to say, the LAPD cops were all really cool. I was so just laughing about the fact that he tricked me out to give me this warrant. I was like, "I wish you guys would have just searched it and let me sleep in." And I was making all these jokes with the cops. I started hitting on one. And by the end, all of them wanted my Instagram. They all wanted to come see a show. Like it was just this one Fed who was a blowhard. But a bunch of those cops ended up coming out to Long Beach Laugh Factory for a show.
Oh,
So
that's
I was like,
I like the Long Beach Laugh Factory. I like that club.
I do too. Yeah, I do too. It's a
Uh,
good room.
I think out of all the Laugh Factories, that one's the coolest because it's so big, but I've never seen
Huge.
it full. So like it's
I've only
kind of
seen it full once for Jeremy Piven's show. It was full when I did Piven and Friends or whatever it was called. It
what
was
it
it was packed. Packed.
what is up with Jeremy Piven, man? Like that guy,
I don't know.
he's so
What
rude. Oh my God.
is he so rude to you?
Oh, he's like, yeah. I'm just
I
like,
gotta be honest. I've seen two sides of Piven. Like
yeah.
I've seen him be rude. One time he was a little rude to me, and I caught him and caught him out on it. It's like, "You were a dick." And guess what? He like profusely apologized. Next time I saw him, he apologized again. I actually think he doesn't realize sometimes, or maybe like no one puts him in his place. But if you do, and then after that, for a long time we were like cool, we were like homies. And then after all this shit happened, I thought he was like rude to me, kind of standoffish. It was almost like, people were like afraid to be like seen with me for like there really was this like heavy rumor that I was like purposely killing people, or so like it was funny because the next time I saw him, he kind of waved and smiled, but didn't come say hi, which like we were always cool. So after that one, I really didn't care because I just got Keith. I got so good at like if somebody treated me that way once, I was done with them. Like
Right.
this showed me who my real friends are, which by the way, you have been one and I love you and I thank you for that. You've been so cool.
Yeah.
And but you know me, I would never kill people on purpose. If I knew someone was dying and I could help, I would help. I just the way it went down, I couldn't and I didn't. But
No,
I
because
am yeah,
like when what like we'll get back to Jeremy Piven in a second, but well
he's so important.
let's finish that talk and then I'll go to my next
He's
thing I was
fine.
gonna say. The
I have
different
nothing else to say about him. He's
no
fine.
the
He's
different
fine.
the difference is you're a hot chick and I'm not. So like he's gonna be nicer to you. You know what I mean? Like I think he's very rude.
Yeah.
So
My
I'll
ex-boyfriend, people, it's funny because after we broke up, and he was horrible to me, not going into details, and I don't mean just like typical breakup shit. Like he was a horrible, abusive boyfriend. But after we broke up, it's funny because like every guy I would meet, whoever worked with him on any of his tours or anything, they all were like, he is such a dick. But every girl would be like, I like him. Like, so it's totally true what you're saying. Like, they're so different to men.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
yeah. And then the last point I was gonna make, and I was making a joke, but you know how
Oh, sorry.
you just said
Stepped
that
on your
like
joke.
no, I stepped on my own joke because you said that people were scared to hang out with you, about the whole
Yeah.
murder thing or whatever. Well, when this
Mhm.
happened, I lost Norm, so
I know.
I really wanted to hang out with you because I wanted to be like, yeah, I'm a daredevil.
I like that joke. That's fine. I don't mind that. Yeah, and I'm sorry about Norm. And what? There was another one after Norm. Oh, there was Saget first. Weren't you friends with Saget too, or am I
Yeah,
crazy?
Saget was yeah,
Yeah.
when Norm died, Saget was because I started opening up for Saget because Mike Young was doing
Mhm.
a movie, and I knew that that job wasn't permanent. Like Saget kind of made that clear.
Yeah.
But when Norm died, Saget called and texted me once a week until Saget's death.
That's all amazing. I'm really good friends with Adam Duritz, the guy from Counting Crows.
Yeah, yeah.
And he was like brothers with Saget. Like they would talk all the time. I mean, I don't know if it was every day, but I never got a chance to meet Bob, but like everybody I know who I love, I mean real friends who I adore, they absolutely have nothing but amazing things to say about him and what a great guy he and great friend he was. And it's really sad.
Yeah,
Really sad. But
Saget was great. And then
yeah.
when Louis Anderson died, I was just like, he probably should have
Oh yeah.
died first. You know what I mean? Because
Jeez.
no, but you know what I mean? Like, so like that's the
I
thing
can't
that's
even keep track.
scary.
Thing that's sad in this business, and that's the one thing is like, a lot of people don't understand this outside comedy. And so the one thing I probably did is like, I took some heat for some things I did that I probably shouldn't have, like posting a hot photo too soon or do whatever. Here's my thing is like, for me, like, as hard as and sad as this is to say, like, I have lost so many friends in comedy that it almost starts to become like the process of grieving becomes like habitual. I know how. It doesn't make it easier when it happens, but like Eric Myers is my best friend. He lived in my kitchen. Like
Right.
he slept on a futon in my kitchen forever. And like he passed. And Brody, like I had a talk with Brody about how bad bullies were bothering him. Brody Stevens, like a week before he killed himself. And like there's been so much death. And so like when my experience happened, for me personally, it's not that I wasn't upset about my friends who passed. I was, but I also like it was like it becomes, I hate to say it, but like every time it becomes a little easier to get through that part For
Oh
me,
no,
like
for sure.
that part sucked, but for me, like all the things that happened after were much harder. So people are always like, that must have been so terrible to, find your friends pass away in your house. I'm like, no, what was so terrible was that everything after, like them dying in my house sucks. But I mean, we were doing drugs. It's like I've said it before, but it's like you're taking a risk if you do drugs, period. And we all know that. It's a risk you sign up for when you do drugs. You might die. It's like getting behind a wheel. If you're drinking, you might die. Like it doesn't mean it's easy, but I was so grateful just to be alive. And
Right.
like, but I will say this, survivor's guilt, I understand now because I didn't think I had survivor's guilt for the first 2 years after it happened, which is probably why it took me so long to get well, because I thought survivor's guilt was like feeling bad for living, but it's not really feeling bad for living. You're grateful to be alive, but it's feeling guilty for like enjoying your life. It's like feeling guilty for being happy. It's like every time I would go out and have fun, or like say I went out to a bar and had like a couple margaritas with my friends, I'd be so scared someone would see me and think like she just doesn't care. Or if I would go on stage and do comedy, I'd be afraid they'd be like, how can she do comedy again when her friends just, it was more like being guilty for living. And I finally have gotten over that. It took me 3 years though. It's almost been 3 years. It's been 3 years, September,
Yeah.
in September. Oh, that's now. It is September. What am I
It
saying? It's
it
been three
is.
years. See,
Um,
this time the date passed and I didn't even notice it this year.
yeah.
Huh,
So
it's interesting.
a little, because I want to respect your time, but I have one more question. But just to
Yeah.
follow up on this, a little truth serum for you, Kate, is you said you lost a lot of friends when this happened, and I love you, and but this is the God honest truth. They were never your friends. If
Oh
they
no, you're right. I
because
know. No, you're right.
like I don't know one friend who just abandoned. I mean, you made a mistake, whatever, you did drugs,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
what kind of friend abandons another friend like that over something?
No, you're absolutely right. Absolutely. And that was something I had to really come to terms with. And the one thing I'm working on, and like, to be honest, I probably should find a good therapist for this. I did therapy for a while after, and then I stopped. It's just really expensive. For a
Yeah,
while, it was covered by my medical emergency medical kicked in. Thank God I was in California because my hospital bill was free. That's the one thing we have going for us here.
yeah,
But
yeah,
I will say the one thing I do need to work on is I have become really, really like hermity. Like I really don't hang out with many people since this happened. I don't. Most of my friends are new, and I don't let them into. Like I do have a lot of more trust issues. I wouldn't even say it's not really trust issues. It's just I'm really comfortable being by myself with my dog and hanging out with strangers and keeping things really light. But like at some point, I don't want to live my whole life that way. So at some point, like I haven't dated since, and it's been almost 3 years. I broke up with Darius then,
yeah,
and I haven't gone on a date since. I went on one date and I liked the guy. He was great, but I just knew I wasn't ready. I'm not ready. And it's like weird. I don't know if I ever will be. I don't know if that'll just take time or if I need to talk to someone because I don't want to like go my whole life, me and a dog. You know what I mean? I don't want to be like a cat lady with a chihuahua,
well, see,
but we'll see.
I respect that. That's why I have been very patient. Excellent.
Oh, Keith, that's a great joke to end on.
Uh, Joke, but serious. Kate, where can the
Uh,
folks at home follow and support you, and what do you got coming up?
okay, so yeah, everybody can find me at Kate Q Funny on almost every platform. Although I'm very like not good at TikToking. I need to work on my TikTok game.
TikTok is
Um,
weird. Oh my
I
god.
don't know. It's just, dude, we're just getting old, Keith. There's too
Yeah.
many platforms. I sound like my parent. I'm like, I don't know all this to do. I don't even understand AI. I don't know how it works. I don't know how to use it. I'm like old now.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you the next show I have coming up is in Kansas City. I'm doing Dom Herrera in Friends. And Dom, for people that don't know, he was diagnosed with Parkinson's. Oh, I hope it's okay to say this, but I think everybody knows. I think
Oh,
it's common, but
I didn't know this.
okay, well, whatever.
I could edit that.
Yeah, I think it's common knowledge, but if not, I'm doing Dom Herrera and Friends anyway. And yeah, maybe you might take that out. I'm not sure. Let's see if it's true. Anyway, point is Dom Herrera and Friends, Kansas City, with this guy named Mike Ciccone, who is so funny that I've worked with many, many times at the Vegas Laugh Factory. And I think one or two other comedians, and we're all going to come to Kansas City because we're all Dom's buddies. And Dom, I think this might be like his last year or so at tour. He's not going to do a whole lot more touring, I believe. So he has been like a father to me, really, in comedy. Like he has been such a mentor. And so, like, even though I haven't been doing much comedy, I'm kind of coming out of hibernation to
Yeah.
get to work with Dom again. And then after that, I'm hoping it lights a little fire and I'll want to get back to work more. We'll see how it is. I'm just going to take it step by step.
Well, those relationships are very, very important to have because I mean, I've always considered you a national headliner, and
Oh,
when you work with people like that, it is very because I feel I could headline, but I don't consider myself a headliner.
you can, and you
Yeah.
are.
Oh, but what?
You don't, but I
wh-
don't think of myself that way either. I'm just like, oh, I'm so lucky they put me on as a headliner. I still don't feel like a headliner.
Yeah, but like
Wasn't a
what?
headliner anyway.
But what I'm saying is because I tour with TJ Miller right now, and I'm pretty sure
Love it.
I'm gonna tour with Kate Quigley soon, right? Right. But
Oh, I would love that. Yes,
what I'm saying is like working with people like that is very healthy for you on your journey in comedy, and
it is.
also just coping, because like Dom means a lot to you, and
That's true.
when I had Norm, like it was the best. I mean, it wasn't all flowers and
Yeah, of
candy. There was thorns in
course.
them, but
Well,
what
I'll
I'm
tell you this. I'm much more selective, and the only shows I've done since this happened were with Jim Florentine and Dom
yeah.
and Russell Peters. And
Uh,
those are people that like I trust and respect and like know have my back. And like there are people like that. And those are the only ones I want to work with now. Like not that I don't want to headline again, but to be really honest with you, I would not be comfortable jumping on stage tomorrow and trying to do close to an hour when I've gone up like three, five, maybe five times in the last year and done like 15 minutes. So I need to go out, and this time in Kansas City will be great just to be able to get up and do like 20 minutes and five times and like get back in a rhythm.
yeah,
You know
yeah,
how it is. It's like it's a little hard for the people that don't know. It's like if you quit your workout, it takes a few weeks to like get back to where you're not like passing out on the treadmill.
definitely.
So
Yeah.
yeah, I'm
Well,
excited though. It's going to be fun.
I'm excited for you, Kate Quigley. And if you ever need anything from me, you know where to
Oh, I
find
love
me.
you. Hey, and if you're in Southern California, I am selling my boat. So hit
What?
me up if you want to.
Wait,
Yeah,
hold
I'm
on.
selling this one.
We've been talking for an hour about how great your boat is, and now you're
No,
saying
it
you're
is.
selling
I
it?
want a bigger boat. I want a bigger boat.
Oh,
So mine's a 26 foot, and it's great. But if I'm gonna do a real liveaboard, like legal liveaboard, because mine right now is called I'm sneaking. It's not legal to live on it. I'm just doing it. It's legal to stay on it, not live
r-
on it. But anyway, I'm
right.
selling it. I want to buy a bigger one. So if you have an extra 30 grand, hit
All
me
right.
up if you want a nice boat. That's all I have to say about that.
Will you sign the boat if someone buys it?
I'll sign the boat. It'll be named the KQ after this. The
Ah,
Quigley.
yeah. All right, Kate.
So
Well, I
thanks,
love you.
Keith. You're the best. This was fun, man.
Yeah, I love you and have a great day.
I love you too. All right, I'll talk to you soon.
I got bye, Kate Quigley.
Bye.
All right. All right, guys. Subscribe, rate, review, tell a friend, and we'll see you guys next week on Razor Riffs.